This is the Art of Darkness podcast with Kevin Kautzman
and Brad Kelly. We're a couple of very online writers interested in the dark side of what drives creative people to create against all odds.
This show is about art and the people who make it, what it costs them, and what it takes to bring something unique and impactful into the world.
Each episode, we excavate the life and work of an artist you might think you know.
Don't worry, they're all safely dead.
On every episode, we try and find out just what the hell was wrong with them and how they worked through their darkness to create something that lives on after them and continues to move culture.
Find us online at artofdarkpod.com and on Twitter at artofdarkpod. We are back with another episode of Art of Darkness, the podcast about the dark side of creativity. This is a very special episode. We have a big announcement, and we are teasing Season 5, 2025. For those who don't know, who are new to the show, we started this in 2021, and we've done almost, 80 core episodes, just a monstrous amount of content, absolutely remarkable, I think. And the seasons correspond to the years. So season 5, the season of the witch, is coming in 2025. And I'll just start out by saying I'm going to start with McLuhan. Okay. So the podcast is the message. Okay. And that's going to come very, very early, but we're going to tease the whole of season 5 here in a little bit. But first I gotta hand the floor to Old Slick here, because he's got to make an announcement. And of course you can see Abby is here, so maybe you're starting to put some pieces together, but we'll let Brad sort of give his announcement before we do the preview.
So big announcement, change happening. I will no longer be a regular part of Art of Darkness. I've got some other projects that I definitely am going to be working on, and 4 years is a lot of time, a long time, folks. This show has been a labor of love, and we've gotten even more out of it than we've put into it in many, many, many ways. But there's time for change and a time to do new things. So you won't be seeing me on regular Art of Darkness episodes. I might pop in here or there as a guest, but I leave this show in the more than competent hands of Kevin and Abby. I'm not completely disappearing off of the internet. I do have another show cooking. I don't have a name yet, but there will be a first episode coming early part of the year. I'm shooting for January. So you can keep up with me on Twitter, Brad Kelly, or a Substack, which I literally just started so that I could say the name of it on this announcement. So there's not much there yet, but bradkelly-esque .substack.com. That's Brad, as in Brad, Kelly, KELLYESQUE.substack.com. And whatever I've got coming up next will show up there. So please follow me, and I can't wait to talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, and I just followed you. Brad Kelly-esque.
All right.
Just like it sounds. Brad Kelly, ESQUE. And everybody, please, okay, support Brad. Brad has, I know he has a novel. Eventually this makes its way out. We're going to do book club. He'll be back for book club. I am going to, you know me, I'm dogged and obsessive. You know me by now if you're listening to this. Brad will come back at some point. We will ensure he returns. Yeah, and I just want to say bulk of the series, dude.
Bulk of the series.
Bulk of the series. Brandon. Look, so looking, and we're going to give the floor here to Abby at a certain point. We'll chat with Brad for a minute and then let him go. Yeah. And then we'll give the floor to Abby too, because I want people to get to know her. If you want to go back, she's been on 2 core episodes already. The very popular, perhaps controversial Bolaño episode, which we know some of our biggest fans love, and then most recently Hitchcock. So it was a natural thing for me to ask Abby. We'll get to that here in a minute. But I just want to say too, dude, Brad, looking at the vault, right? Yeah. 79 core episodes.
79. Yeah. That's a lot. And most of those are 4 hours or more. So yeah.
74 Darkroom episodes in 4 years. And
Yeah.
the thing, and the core episodes, they're all evergreen, and so are the dark rooms for that matter.
Oh yeah, they're not very
Uh,
topical. I mean, every once in a while somebody's got something to plug, but generally the conversation is something that I think is you can listen
yeah.
to 10 years from now and get something out of it for
Well,
sure. So,
and that's what we want. Yeah, we want
yep.
people to, and one of the reasons that I want to continue this show and that I intend to do it is because we know from our audience, we hear from people. Sometimes we have haters, but
Yeah.
more than the haters, we hear from people who say, "You turned me on to Burroughs, and this is changing my life. You turned me on to Cormac."
Mhm.
We had a post recently. This is the greatest podcast episode I've ever heard, the Crowley
Yeah.
episode.
It's great.
So
Yeah.
it just the franchise of this show will continue, and Abby, of course, is an artist. I think that's an important part of the show, right? Like Brad, you and I go way back. You're one of my best friends, one of my oldest friends, and I think when we decided to do the show, there was this sort of idea like, well, we're artists, maybe
Mhm.
struggling artists. We're not
Sure.
household names. So what are, let's try it. Let's do something that both like fuels our own creativity, but is also like a gift and like a service. And I think we've accomplished that. And then like we really developed the show together,
Mhm.
like from a WhatsApp chat to your first Burroughs episode that was under an hour, and then we just
Yeah.
methodically figured out what it is together. So the show
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
always going to be yours.
Oh, I
Yeah.
appreciate that,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, I mean, it's been quite a ride, and it's been, like I said, there's, I'm immensely proud of Art of Darkness, the work that we did here. It's so cool to get people, it's interesting. You see discourse about, oh, nobody reads anymore or whatever, and widespread statistically, I suppose that's true. But I do know that we were cranking out 4-hour episodes on William Faulkner and Roberto Bolaño, and a lot of people were tuning in, and I'm very proud that we can kind of keep a certain candle burning for authentic art out there in the world, in our way. We've got our own tastes and perspectives and all of that, and hopefully that contributed more than it got in the way of sort of the message of the show. And yeah, it's been quite a ride, man. And the next thing I do is going to continue that in a very different way. I'm excited to share that with you guys, but I don't want to say too much yet
You don't
because
want
when
to,
you
you
say
can't
it,
tease anything. You can't tease anything. Oh, okay.
when you
But it's
say it,
okay.
well, when you say it, but it's not fully baked yet, you
Sure.
start solidifying stuff that isn't ready to be solid yet. So just trust that it's the noggin, the slick noggin is working on it, and
That's
I
right.
think Art of Darkness fans will enjoy the next thing. So
And
yeah,
and it's gonna be a podcast type thing.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. There'll be
Okay. Well,
audio
yeah,
elements of it for sure. So
I'll be your
yep,
first subscriber.
awesome, man. Yeah.
Obviously. Is it so I think we also said you wanted to put maybe the first few episodes of that into this feed so people who are
Yeah,
Art of
yeah,
Darkness fans, yeah.
I'd like to
Yeah.
do that because yeah, just because not everybody is on social media, and this is a way, it'll pop up or say, oh, this new show's out, and then,
Yeah,
after
yeah.
that, we'll put the first couple out there, and then after that we'll have my own, and a separate feed and all
Mhm.
that good stuff. But yeah, if you're subscribed
Yeah.
to Art of Darkness, you don't really have to go anywhere. It'll just show up one day. So
Okay, well there you go. So, and
yeah,
I meant what I said earlier. If you want a hand with the website or whatever, I have
I
I have a
appreciate that,
system.
man.
I have a
Yeah.
system, Brad. I have a
Yes,
very
sir. Yes, sir. I
airtight
appreciate that.
lockdown system
Yeah.
for podcasting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what a trip, dude. Bulk of the
Yeah, for
series.
sure.
Last
Yeah,
time I'm
yeah,
going to say it.
it's been
It's just
great,
it's
and
dude. Yeah.
the I mean, I learned a lot too.
Oh
I
my
think this is
God.
one
Yeah.
part that's maybe easy to overlook. I learned a ton doing this show. And, also a little bit surprising, I guess, was not the intent. Made a lot of friends out
Made a
there
lot of
in
friends.
internet land. So, I'm looking forward to maintaining those relationships. And I'm not going anywhere,
No.
not anywhere really. I'm just kind of going into a different room, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and the dark room is always open. You have something you want to talk
Yeah.
about, you're always welcome to come back on. I want to lure you back on to do a core episode, and we'll surprise
Ooh.
everybody at some point, maybe
Ooh.
one
Yeah.
day if
Yeah.
you're willing.
Okay.
That would be a lot
Okay.
of fun.
Sure. Okay.
What if you had to summarize? Because we get asked this question a lot, and
Mhm.
it is the question, the problem we're trying to solve on Art of Darkness. What
Yeah.
what makes an artist, Brad? What do these
Uh,
people have in common?
Oh gosh.
yeah. Well, this is a good. Yeah. Exactly. That's part of it. I mean, in a certain way, it's kind of cliche, right? But I think the artist is sort of the dreamer of humanity. Just like
Mm,
when you go to sleep, you need to dream. If you don't have dreams, your bad things are going to happen to you. We don't even really understand why we dream, but we know if you don't, it ends up being a problem, right? Neurological, psychological issues. I, I
mm,
think I think the writer, the painter, the filmmaker, the musician, I think that's very much the same. And I think for an individual who's making art, it does feel like a compulsion because that's their job. And you don't necessarily get to choose it. It kind of chooses you.
Mm.
So, yeah, I think that's as in as general terms as I can get to. I think that's what I've learned.
All right. Well, I love
Yeah.
you, dude. I'm
Love you
very,
too,
very
man.
proud of what we've done.
Same here.
Everybody go and support Brad Kelly and save your malice for Abby and me, because we are not done with Art of Darkness. We're going to tease the rest of season 5. But I want to let Brad, any last words before you trot off into the sunset, the great
Oh,
podcast in the sky? Yeah.
can I ask Brad
Yeah.
a question?
Oh,
Yes, of
sure,
course.
Abby. Yeah.
Which artist surprised you the most?
Um, the one who surprised me the most, and it's not our most popular episode because she's not our most well-known figure, that was covered on Art of Darkness, but the filmmaker Maya Deren. Um, just brilliant, strange, um, uh, something like a beautiful alien that just happened to share planet Earth with us for a little while. And one, this doesn't always happen with an artist when we'd cover them, but every once in a while you'd come across one where you're like, man, they were just getting started. Like, I
Mm.
really, if they would have kept what they did was already amazing, and if they could have kept going on, I don't know what that would have led to. And she was one like that where I feel like her premature death we all missed out on. So yeah, if you haven't people if you skip that one out there in podcast land, trust me, that one is worth it. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah,
And that's
thanks.
very
Yeah.
apropos, a lady filmmaker, which
Well,
is
yeah. Yeah.
who we have now. I'm frankly really excited. I obviously, Brad, I would have done 4 more years together, but at the same time, I'm very
4 more years.
excited. I'm excited for the change. I think that
Mhm.
Abby's gonna bring a fresh perspective. She's on the other side of the pond. She's from New Zealand. She's a filmmaker first, although we do write together. We're gonna have to record a new intro, Abby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, season
True.
5. But otherwise, like, very few things are going to change. I mean, obviously, this is a big deal. I mean, the show will not be the same, but it will be different. And but the format's going to stay the same. We're going to keep doing the same things. We're going to do book club. We're going to do dark rooms. And after Brad makes his gracious exit here, we will Abby and I. Well, first, I'm going to let Abby introduce herself and sort of explain what she's up to, and and
Yeah.
everybody can sort of gauge whether or not they think she knows what she's getting into. I think she does. She's
Oh
done two
gosh.
Oh
core
yeah,
episodes already.
she's gonna do it. She's gonna do a
Um,
great job.
yeah.
When I realized that Abby was coming in, I was like, oh, that's gonna work out great. Sincerely, I think it's gonna be
Thank you.
amazing. I'm looking forward to listening. It'll be interesting to sit down to a 4 hour Art of Darkness that I wasn't there for. It's gonna be an interesting experience.
we,
Yeah.
we have
I
decided we're going to try to keep
appreciate the
them.
confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, we're going to keep them from 3.5 to 4.5 hours
There you go.
with the After Dark. That is the
Sure.
plan. But
Yeah.
okay, Brad, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you,
Any
man.
final words? Everybody has to go and continue to support Brad Kelly.
Yes, please
And this is
do.
another
Yeah.
point, right? I know there's going to be some hemming and hawing and, people are going to talk and all the rest of it. Support this podcast. Really. Like, if you want this to continue happening, the Patreon support is critical. The Substack support is critical. And then go on and support whatever Brad does in the future.
Yeah.
Like, we put out
thanks.
so much material for nothing. Hopefully it's valued. And if you got something out of Brad's work, send the guy a note. Really, like, send him a note. Like, no, really,
Yeah.
it's like
That stuff does get through.
It does
to be
get
honest.
through, and
Yeah.
people take a lot for granted. But we like hearing from people, and we're not hard to find. Brad, you want to hit your Twitter handle one more time?
Yeah. It's just Brad Kelly on Twitter. And Substack is Brad Kelly-esque .substack.com. That's Kelly with one E. I don't know who those Kellys are out there with two E's, but I don't trust them. I guess this is it. Just final thing. Art of Darkness stands out there. I love you guys. I'll see you on the other side. Kevin, love you, bro. Good luck. Look forward to seeing what you guys do next. And thanks for riding with me for these 4 years. And Abby, I'm very excited. You're going to do great.
No pressure.
And
no pressure. Thank you very much.
At all. Yeah.
I think you said earlier, so long and thanks for all the fish.
Yeah, so long and thanks for all the fish. Yeah, I'll talk to you. I'll talk soon.
All right. Okay. Take care, Brad.
Bye, Brad.
I'll talk to you.
Bye.
Take care, buddy. All right. Well, there you go. So an end of an era, bulk of the series, and now we're just left the two of us, Abby.
And
I'm
now
really
there were
excited.
two.
And now there were two. But I think the franchise of Art of Darkness continues. It'll never be the same without Brad, but that's fine. That's, it's going to change. And I think you're going to bring a different perspective. A woman's perspective, somebody who lives over in London from New Zealand, a filmmaker, although we do write together. I think we will introduce ourselves as very online writers. That's the franchise of the show. But why don't you've been on a couple of core episodes. People who want to get to know Abby a little more can go back and listen to Bolaño, go back and listen to the recent Hitchcock episode. But Abby, do you want to just tell the audience about yourself real quick before we tease season 5?
Sure, yeah. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Abby Lucas. I'm a filmmaker, writer, editor. I currently live in London in the UK, but I'm originally from Aotearoa, New Zealand. I was very excited to be asked to do this because after I did the Roberto Bolaño episode a couple of years ago, and then most recently the Hitchcock episode. And the thing that I was always excited about when doing this podcast as a guest was, like Brad was saying, like just how much you end up learning. And I think it really appeals to the nerdy side of my personality to sort of do a deep dive into these people and learn about what they brought to the world, but also thinking about how I can apply that to my own work in the future. So I'm super excited for season 5, and I'm super excited to get to know all these people that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, and again, you've already done 2 core episodes with us. You know what to expect. I think you know what to deliver. We do these biographical profiles of dead artists. They have to be dead for a year. And I believe we have a really, really strong list. We're going to do a dozen core episodes this coming year. Before we get into that, I want to say we have a couple of things coming up for our patrons in December. We're taking a little sabbatical here in this transition, but we've got a couple of things coming up. We have the book club, which we're going to continue in 2025. We're going to do the Bookends Book Club. I have a little list of things that we're going to do. It's going to be a mix of new fiction. We told Aaron Gwyn we would do his novel or novella, The Cannibal Owl. That'll be happening. I want to do Tower by Jack from the book club from Hell. And then I have 3 ideas for book club that are related to our subjects. But in December of 2024, yeah, it's going to be fun. December 2024, we are going to do the book club on the 14th of December, Dune, which we've put off. And Abby, had you never read Dune before?
I have never read it before. I have seen both the films. I have seen Denis Villeneuve speak about both the films, and this is the book that he read at age 15 that made him decide to make a series of movies just for himself. I'm
Incredible.
really excited to read it.
And I saw Dune 2 7 times at the theater. It's like that movie it felt like it was made for me, not to be narcissistic, but it spoke to me. I think he's brilliant, and part 2 was so amazing. So this is a little bit of an indulgence for me because I don't know that we even did Frank Herbert this year. I think we did him last year. In any case, you can go back and listen to the Herbert episode. Brad did a good job there. And we're going to talk about that in book club. The way the book club works is if you're part of Patreon, you're part of Substack, you're a sub or a dom, as we say, you get access. And Abby, you're going to learn all sorts of things here as we go.
I did not know that one.
We have our own little niche internet microculture here on Art of Darkness.
Nobody sent me the glossary of terms.
You'll learn them as we go. That's part of the fun of the show. We're always teaching and learning.
We'll put in a sound effect for each one that pops up.
No, I am not doing any extra. Nope. I put the kibosh on any. Nope. We want the show to stay the same. But that's going to be on December 14th. And the way that works is if you're a member, you're supporting the podcast, you get a link the day of or the day before, and it's a Zoom link, and you can join us. It's all recorded. They're really fun. Sometimes we have 4 people show up. Sometimes we have 8, 10, 12 people show up. It really depends on the book and the time of year and everything. But please consider that. That's going to be on December 14th. I believe we're doing that at 1 p.m. U.S. Central Time, the Lord's time zone. And so mark your calendar. And of course, Abby is on GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. You're in like the time
the
zone.
home of time.
The home of time. Very good. Okay. All right. The home of time itself over there in ye old London. All right. Then the other thing we're going to do in December for patrons is we're going to have the great Mari Sittner, playwright Mari Sittner, friend of the pod, theater co-founder, Badmouth Theater Company, my theater company. She's going to come on and we're going to do a watch party. That's a special type of episode we do behind the paywall where we all watch a movie together and comment on it and do a little research and come with this and that. It's fun, easy, extra content. And we're going to do American Psycho because, of course, American Psycho is a Christmas movie. So we'll call that a holiday watch party, and that's going to come out on December 19th. So for the patrons, you're going to get something extra here in December, and then in January, very early in January, we are coming in hot, and this is where we tease season 5. The other 2 watch parties we're going to do next year, by the way, are Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. We're going to do that in the summer, and the next December we're going to do Breakfast at Tiffany's behind the paywall, and you'll see why we're going to do those 2. That probably gives away some of what we've got coming up. Okay, so the way this show works for people who are new to this, and I think Abby, you're going to bring some friends along. So for people who don't know, the format of Art of Darkness is that we do biographical profiles of dead artists. One of the hosts prepares a 20-page outline, whatever it is, 10, 15, 20 pages. The other host comes in the dark. Only what they know from life as lived. And so in January, I will be leading the core episode, and we will be doing the great Canadian media theorist, the father of media theory, Marshall McLuhan, which I think is a perfect way to start a new season as the show changes. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with that. And I'm excited to do it. I have my books ready, and I'm gonna get going very soon. Abby, what are you going to do in February?
In February, we're going to be looking at the controversial fashion giant Coco Chanel.
How is she controversial, Abby? What possibly could have happened? Well,
World War II has its moments.
World War II, yeah. let me say too, friends, we know this is a podcast about the dark side of creativity. We know we touch on controversial subjects. We know that the political landscape is fraught. We know that sometimes jokes don't always land or context isn't always there. If you could just give us the benefit of the doubt and trust that as working artists ourselves, Abby is a filmmaker. You can go find her at abbylucas.com. It's ABBIE, Lucas like George, no relation.
No
Abby
relation.
Lucas, no relation. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately.
Very unfortunately.
Just give us a benefit of the doubt. We really come to Art of Darkness with open minds and an open heart, and we want to treat our subjects with respect. We can be irreverent at times. The thing I say is we laugh so we don't cry. I would want, if somebody was to look back on my life, I would want them to have a few laughs, because life itself can be absurd at times and nobody is perfect. And that really is the thesis, the sort of quiet thesis of our show, is that these imperfections are where the art emerges from in many cases. Or the art doesn't, it's not just a clean, perfectly cut grass yard in the suburbs. Art comes up out of the cracks and out of the dark places too.
Definitely comes out of the dark places.
There you are. Yeah. And so sometimes, somebody might get offended or they might have an idea about who we are, but I promise you, we're coming to this with a spirit of generosity and heterodoxy. We aren't ideologues. Abby and I, we don't share every political opinion. Brad and I don't, we try to keep the show apolitical, but things are going to come up. For example, Coco Chanel in Paris in the 40s, things are going to come up. Okay. And, we might have to talk about some uncomfortable things. All right. So, I also have to say, for people who want to join the conversation, we have a Discord. It's at artofdarkpod.com/Discord, or you can go to the Telegram. The Telegram has been revisited. There was some nonsense in there. I have a disclaimer up on the website. We can't be responsible for everything that everybody posts in our chat rooms. We do our best to moderate it. We didn't get in this to moderate chat rooms. So the Telegram channel is t.me/artofdarkpod. That's been turned into like an announcement channel. And then there's like a chat channel lurking in the background. All I ask of people is just to try to keep it on topic. All right. And if something bothers you in there, take it up with the person posting, or like DM us or reach out to us. But really, try to be an adult. That's all we ask. The internet is totally wild, free for all place. And we're not responsible for everything that everybody posts or retweets or whatever else. But we really do want to be a place for a community to gather to talk about art and creativity and the dark side of creativity, and sometimes uncomfortable things. Mm-hmm. But that's why this show exists. If you want some antiseptic, arts commentary, there are lots of places to go and get that. Okay. They have a lot more funding than we do. They have a lot more material support than we do. All right. So that goes out to the patrons who supported us so far. Thank you for your support. The only reason that we're able to do this in a real smooth way, by the way, Brad on his way out, he and I have worked something out. Abby on her way in. The only reason that this is smooth is because we have some funding. It's not an extravagant amount right now, but the patron money is really what allows us to buy books, to pay for hosting, and then to pay for a little bit of the work. This is work. It's fun. It's a labor of love. But like once you're 4 hours into prep for a core episode, you start to go, okay, all right, well, at least at least dinner's going to get paid for. All right. So that's a long way of saying thank you to the patrons. And for people who've come along this far and you haven't supported us yet, please consider going to Patreon or Substack. Okay. All right. So we've got January, Marshall McLuhan. February, we've got Coco Chanel. That's going to be a banger. Abby and I write together. We've written a number of screenplays. We're working on Killdozer the musical. Everybody can't wait for Killdozer the musical. Abby worked on video art for my play Moderation, which premiered here in St. Paul in October, and which is going to be published very soon, and also will be appearing closer to Abby, and her work will be a part of the production. So Abby and I have an artistic relationship on top of the podcasting that we're going to start doing here now too. So I think it's going to be interesting. It gives some extra context to people, for like, why are these two talking?
I didn't just pop out of the shutters.
You might want to pop back into the shadows before the year's
Maybe.
out.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see. So in March, I'm going to cover the great Hunter S. Thompson, someone I've wanted to do for a very, very long time. A hero of mine, a man of the left, but a strange libertarian left. If you don't know Hunter, you're going to learn a lot about him. The suicide episodes are always fun, but he seemed to have had a happy suicide, as happy as they come. I don't know really, but in any case, I'm going to do Hunter S. Thompson, and of course, that's why we're going to watch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas in the summer, the great Terry Gilliam film with Benicio del Toro and Johnny Depp, of course, as Hunter. And of course, Terry Gilliam's from Minnesota originally, but now he lives in London.
I did not know that.
He's the only American Python.
Huh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who are you going to do in April, Abby?
In April, we are going to visit somebody who was influential in my childhood, the absurdist Irish poet Spike Milligan.
Okay, I know. Don't tell me anything. I don't know who Spike Milligan is. I think we're going to include a book of poetry in book club from Spike Milligan. So people who are following along, you're going to learn who this fellow is. And then we're going to do a book club as well. Yeah, I just looked it up. Terry Gilliam, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 1940. Crazy.
Wow.
What a life.
I thought he was one of, well, not ours. I'm not British, but theirs.
How long have you lived over there, Abby?
I've lived here for 18 years, so
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you're honorary.
Honorary,
and then
for sure.
honorary, yeah. And then in May, I'm going to do somebody who is not controversial at all or problematic. I'm going to do Pablo Picasso in May. And that should be exciting. I've got a little bit of a masculine streak here going from Hunter to Pablo. Who are you going to do in June, Abby?
In June, we're going to be looking at a real life friend of Pablo Picasso's, the photographer, war photographer, friend of Man Ray's, Lee Miller. There is a film out about her at the moment. If you want to have a little learn about it before June, it's called Lee. It's starring Kate Winslet. Apparently, a passion project of hers.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I once sat next to Kate Winslet at a theater over there, at the bar after. Yeah. Always strange when you see someone like that in person. You just go, oh no, I'm so outclassed here. It's ridiculous. Because she belongs here, I don't belong here. But in any case, yeah, Lee Miller in June. That's going to be a lot of fun. In July, I'm doing somebody who again has zero controversy whatsoever, but a quite large footprint in the arts, a very, very important artist. I'll be doing Richard Wagner, Max Wagner. This is I'm sort of doing an Annie Hall season here. I've got McLuhan at the beginning, and then I'm doing Wagner. I've wanted to do Wagner for a long time. Obviously, the controversy, anti-Semitism. I think a very strange life as well. Very obsessive life. But we're not going to shy away from the controversy. We're going to talk about all of it, warts and all, on Art of Darkness. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think people don't realize that, like, the dominant style of filmmaking, like the way music is used in film, that it's principally Wagnerian. Like there's a direct line from his total, there's a particular word he invented, but like a total theater. And he influenced so many people. So that's going to be quite a lot of fun. Who are we doing in August?
In August, we are going to be doing the author Roald Dahl, who wrote the original books for a lot of your favorite movies. Matilda, The Witches, these have also been turned into big Broadway and West End shows. Also a big part of my childhood. A lot of those books were gifted to me by my aunts, grandparents.
Wow.
So I will be sharing some personal stories with you in August when discussing Roald Dahl. Yeah,
that's very exciting. People like the personal stuff. That's good. And Roald Dahl had very little to do. I mean, obviously, I saw Willy Wonka.
Hmm.
I know that
Yes, of course, Willy
film. Yeah,
Wonka.
the
Yeah.
great film. But the books, they never, for whatever reason, and I was a voracious reader as a young person, they just did not cross my transom. So I'm excited. Then in September, we're going to take a leap and we're going to do Arthur Schopenhauer, the artist's philosopher, I think. And I know very little about Schopenhauer, despite having a philosophy degree. So I'm going to learn a lot as we do this, and that'll be a little more high-minded, I think. And but I'm excited. That is going to be in September. October, who are you doing?
In October, this one's a little bit of a niche one. I'm going to be sharing a little bit of my culture with you. We are going to be doing the filmmaker documentarian Murata Mita, who was a Maori filmmaker and the first indigenous female filmmaker in the world.
Fascinating. And when you say your culture, of course, you're talking about New Zealand and you in the Maori culture and everything.
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome. That's what I'm talking about. That's a different perspective on Art of Darkness. I think our listenership skews heavily male. All right. So maybe Abby can introduce some ladies
Some ladies.
some ladies into the conversation. Okay, fellas, don't be afraid. All right. We're all going to make
as
it.
the Flight of Conchords song goes.
Which one? Too many chicks or too many dicks? Not enough chicks?
Yeah, too many dicks on the dance floor.
I think that is a major podcasting problem. If you're not doing true crime, it's like if I had any sense, I'd just start a podcast called Crime and Wine or something like that, and that would be what we would do. But here we are. I think I think of Art of Darkness as a true crime podcast. I mean,
it's a little bit of a true crime podcast.
It is. I mean, art is crime. I mean, we start with William Burroughs was our first subject. He was a criminal in many, many different ways. So in any case, and then in November, we're going to take a long day's journey into night with the great American playwright, still the only American playwright to win the Nobel Prize. I believe Eugene O'Neill, and a personal inspiration of mine, alcoholic Irish playwright from the United States, the great Eugene O'Neill. And then I believe we're going to read, for book club, we're going to read a Roald Dahl book. We're going to read Someone Like You. And then we're
Which
also
is
going to
one of his adult books, actually. It was a collection of short stories for adults, not for children.
Okay, great. And then we're going to do, I want to read The Iceman Cometh by Eugene O'Neill. Not least because we may have access to some like bar here in town to do some theater stuff.
Yeah.
And I know that's a great bar play. So, I don't know if we'll ever do it, but in any case, okay. And how are we going to close out the year? December next year.
You may have guessed by the Breakfast at Tiffany's announcement for the watch party.
Mickey
December, Mickey Rooney. Is Mickey Rooney dead?
I don't know if Mickey Rooney's dead.
I don't know that he is.
He might still be alive. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, somebody who is dead is Audrey Hepburn.
Yes.
Who has been a great influence on me for a very long time, and I own most of the books already, so that's a bonus.
And of course, Breakfast at Tiffany's is not controversial whatsoever. There isn't any.
Not at all.
And not at all. Yeah, we have not done Truman Capote.
I had investigated that the other day because I couldn't remember whether Truman Capote had been visited or not, but that's definitely one for the future. He was a very interesting character.
Yes, yeah. I mean, one of the greatest biopics ever made, of course, is Capote with PSH. Yeah. Incredible. I go back to that film all the time. I watch that at least once a year. Great movie about a writer.
Mm-hmm. PSH himself, also a fascinating character.
Yes, indeed. A great American artist gone too soon, for sure. And an artist of the theater as well. But yeah, we should certainly think about doing one or both of those fellas in season 6, but one thing at a time. Let's get season
We've got
5 out
12
of the
months
way.
to get through the
Yeah,
rest.
we do. We take recommendations. We take requests. You can email us at artofdarkpod@gmail.com. You can get into the Telegram. You can get into the Discord. We're not hard to find. I'm at Kautzmania, KAUTZMANIA. Abby is at Abby Lucas, just like it sounds. You can find her at abbylucas.com. If you have a subject you'd like us to cover, we keep a spreadsheet. Can't get to everybody expeditiously. We have 2025 already planned, but I love hearing from people. Again, artofdarkpod@gmail.com. And for friends on the podcast party circuit, nothing changes. So if you have something, a book that's come out, or you have a play that's coming up, or you have something to promote online, you know where to find us. The Twitter account is Art of Dark Pod, at Art of Dark Pod. I will be manning that now. And then again, the Gmail, artofdarkpod@gmail.com. And people, you're going to start hearing from us as we plot season 5 and we start to do the dark rooms. The dark rooms are fun. They're very, relatively easy compared to the core episodes, right? We bring a guest on. The hardest part of the about the dark rooms is the booking. So no, really, but and in this
Please
podcast,
come forth.
yes, yeah, please, no, come out of the woodwork. I mean, and if you again, if you have something to promote, something to share, the key to the dark rooms is that you just have to pick one of the subjects we've covered, and we use that as context. So we aren't just wholly talking about ourselves and our own work. We're talking about it in context. If you're a filmmaker, let's talk about Stanley Kubrick. Let's talk about I don't know.
Hitchcock.
Alfred Hitchcock, thank you, etc. Okay, well, that was a very special season 5 preview. Abby, I want you to stick around, and hang out with me after, because we got to do a little bit of housekeeping.
Sure.
Last thing I'm going to say before we go is thank you, Abby, for coming on. It's not a small thing to take on, and we have our own creative process together already, so let's make sure we continue to do that. If you want to hear something that Abby and I worked on together, go and listen to Basilisk in 2 parts.
Yes.
Dark Pony Radio Basilisk. It is an AI horror thriller radio play, old-timey radio, easy to find. Just go to Spotify and look up Basilisk, like Rocco's Basilisk, Dark Pony Radio. You can't miss it. That gives you an idea of what's rattling around in our heads as we try to create ourselves. And of course, Abby and I have another collaboration in this play. She's done this video art for Moderation, which very soon we will be announcing what's happening there in London in 2025. But the show must go on. And I want to tell everybody, go and support Brad. Whatever else he does, get the credit card out. Give him love, give him support. Really, I mean, the dude, we put in so much work, and that guy, people don't see the background. That guy carried so much of this show, especially recently. Like I was working on my production here, and I have young children. He's a family man too, but I have young children. And and there were whole months where I was like, okay, just tell me where to be. And I think at a certain point he was like, oh, okay, all right. But you know what I mean? He's done so much work. And 20 years from now, there's going to be a person who's being literally being born today, who's going to get turned on to great art, to Kubrick, to Hitchcock, to Bolaño, to Burroughs, to Virginia Woolf, through Art of Darkness in 20 years from now. And I think that has so much value, and I really believe in the mission of the show. And I would not have created the show without Brad. So this is always going to be Brad's show. But now Abby gets to come on and show us what she's got. All right.
Well, and thank you for having me. And big thank you to Brad for all the work that he's done over the last 4 years. And I know Brad a little bit. Obviously, we did the couple of episodes together, and it was great fun. And we're really excited to see what he does next.
Yeah, I am too. Like I said, I'll be the first subscriber, and I'll be the first one to get the credit card out to support him and what he does. He's got a mind. I've known Brad for such a long time. We went to grad school together. He's a brilliant writer, and more than that, he's genuinely one of the most fascinating people I've ever known, and one of the kindest people. He's very kind. He's very generous with his time. He's very spiritually keen. Has a lot to offer. So whatever he does next, it won't be Art of Darkness, but I guarantee it's going to be something fascinating. So stay tuned. It'll appear on this stream, right? So if you're subscribed on Spotify, if you're not, you should be. But if you're subscribed on Spotify, you're going to hear the next Brad Kelly thing. It's going to pop up. So you don't have to go anywhere, but definitely go and follow him on Twitter and all the rest of it. And Abby, anything you want to say to the audience before we adjourn? Just reminding people real quick, 2 things in December for the patrons: Book Club Dune, and then the American Psycho watch party. And then we come in the first week of January with McLuhan. Okay, Abby, any final words before you go back into the shadows?
Yes, well, before I retreat into the shadows, just a big hello to all of you and thank you for having me. I hope you will continue to support the podcast, and I'm excited to get into season 5 with all of you.